If Bama and Texas wins, who deserves the playoff bid more?
Well, if you're looking at Bama and Texas and both of them win, are you saying that Florida State won too? Because there are a lot of teams ahead of Alabama and ahead of Texas right now. So it's just not as simple as one of those teams winning that they should be in. And you look at the leap from Alabama to actually get into the top four, it's a big leap. And it's something that I believe will be unprecedented, even if they beat the number one team in the country right now, which is the Georgia Bulldogs. And now you're looking at Georgia Bulldogs team there. You're expecting them to fall from number one all the way to number 5 if they lose the SEC championship game. Again, that's something we've never, ever seen in the college football playoffs. So I don't think that listen, we're in the season of everyone's trying to jockey for a position. Everyone's trying to talk about, state their case just in case they win so they can get in the college football playoffs. So I expect Nick Saban to say something like that because he understands that they have a lot going against them. So what he's doing now is trying to make his case for the college football playoff selection committee. So if they beat Georgia, the number one team in the country, that they would put Alabama in the top 4, which would be a huge jump.
Let me say this to you, man, and I'm going to say what I got to say, and let me get your opinion on this. First of all, first things first, all right? There is no way in hell that the college football playoffs can have a playoff system without the SEC, some SEC representative in it. There is no way in hell. It will not fly. It will not fly, okay? You can't, no champion would be legitimate if you got 4 teams in the playoffs and now one of them come from the SEC, which is the best conference in football. Let's get that out the way. That's number 1. Number 2, I don't give a damn what one-loss team you bring in there, Georgia or Alabama. One of them at the very least deserves to be in there, like I just said. I do get your point about Florida State if they run the table, even though Louisville lost to Kentucky, lost a couple of games this year. I understand how people are looking at that. And then Jordan Travis is out. Here's why I'm bringing all of this up. And Texas head-to-head competition means a lot to me. But I listen to guys like you, Des, bring up the fact that Texas won week 2. Okay? Now we went through a complete season a long time ago. Different ball game now. My question is this. When I think about TCU last year, to go into that national championship game and get stomped 65-7, college football don't want that. They don't want that. And so if you don't have, the best teams in there, that could do damage to the college football players. What do you say to that?
No, I mean, that's a valid point, and people point to the TCU game a year ago against Georgia, and Georgia showed them, hey, you guys are really good, and you were great in your conference, but there are levels to this.
That's right.
We're on a whole nother level, and I get that. That Georgia team, obviously the past 2 seasons, they've been just historically great. Just look at the NFL draft and how many first and second and third rounders that they sent to the next level. So I get that. But when you're looking at this Florida State team, right, and people are saying, well, maybe you leave them out because Jordan Travis is gone. Jordan Travis hurt. We also say, Stephen A., that we want a team in there that took a challenge in their non-conference schedule. I mean, they took a big challenge playing LSU at the beginning of the season. So they should be rewarded for that. And LSU, despite the fact that they're not in the SEC championship game, they have a guy, Jaden Daniels, who's a legitimate, Heisman front runner right now. He's been outstanding from week 1 to the end of the season. So they had a big challenge, and then to be a conference champ, too. I just think that you should be rewarded for doing all the things, checking all the boxes, because if this was an SEC team, and I'm not saying that an SEC team would make it. I agree. That's why I said even if Alabama beats Georgia, I find it very hard to see Georgia falling all the way to number 5, meaning that they will be out of the college football playoff. But Florida State has done everything that you've asked them to do to be in the college football playoff, so I think you have to reward them.
Well, I will say this. Alabama, and you know me, I ride with Nick Saban in Alabama all day, every day, but it is a legitimate argument that can be made that even if you beat Georgia, your one loss against Georgia's got to go in because they can't drop from 4, number 1 rather, to outside altogether at number 5 unless they get blown out in the SEC championship game, which we don't see happening, okay? So because of that, all right, we can't transition them or diminish them that drastically. Whereas with Alabama, we'd have the excuse to leave you out if we wanted to put Texas in because Texas beat you straight up head to head. My thing with Florida State is this. This is why the TCU component comes into play, because they got all-world receivers led by this cat, Keon Johnson. I mean, these brothers can ball. We got it.
Right.
Rodemaker, we don't know much about him. He looks nice the whole bit, but the bottom line is Jordan Travis is Jordan Travis. Him being gone, it's not great. It doesn't even seem fair. But, hey, if the brother ain't there, if the star ain't there, you understand? And he's out because he injured, right? And somebody got to be left out. That's a legitimate excuse to leave him out.
Yeah. Well, we know that's what Boo Corrigan and the college football playoff selection committee, they're going to have to come up with that type of explanation on Sunday. But don't forget, you mentioned Keon Coleman. You got Johnny Wilson. You got Trey Benson. You got like a star-studded cast of talent around Tate Rodemaker. So I believe, and before we even move forward, Stephen A., there's rumors out there that Rodemaker may be a little banged up. So we got to keep an eye on that. I heard that the point spread has already moved. It's still in FSU's favor, but it's already moved some. So we got to keep an eye on the health of Tate Rodemaker. There may be news coming out of Tallahassee or wherever they're at right now about their quarterbacks. That's something to keep an eye on. But I just like the talent around. They got great defense. And if he's able to play, and they're able to go out there and handle their business against a Louisville team that's going to come in there with an attitude, big attitude. They just lost against their in-state rival, Kentucky. So they're going to come out there in an attempt to prove something. So I just think that FSU should be rewarded if they go out there and handle their business.
Yeah. Right. Keon Coleman he's a bad brother. I love that kid. I love Bell, too, but Keon Coleman's no joke.